All right, so here's my thoughts on like the current meta for ERC-20 tokens, the ones I want to start launching. So everything's going to be hard coded, the wallets, all that. I think there should. I don't know if I need 3 wallets. The way that I've been setting up with these 3 taxes, where 1% goes to each wallet, I might just do 2, where we've got a dev fee and we've got like an operational fee. So I think that would be a better structure for it than the operational is controlled by the company, could be used for whatever. And then dev comes with DrewRoberts.eth. And yeah, but tax isn't as big of a deal as the overall tokenomics. So with the way things are going, to do V3 liquidity pools, you have to be a 0-0 tax. So you don't have to initially be there, but in order to launch those liquidity pools, you got to get there. And we want as simple a contract as possible to get the gas fees down for interacting with the tokens on that contract. So we're going to start these things off at 5.5. It didn't impact the bots like I thought it would. When looking at WBN, the project I did for Damon, the 5.5 tax didn't stop the volume or prevent the volume coming in. Now, Jake Newman did one with 15 without having any bots of his own set up or project bots, and there weren't any bot buys period on that. So I think that's something we got to watch out for, is these contracts will I don't know. I just like 5.5. It's 10% take, kind of Methuselah tithe, and so you've got 5.5 for the first 24 hours. Then it drops to 2 indefinitely after 24 hours. So how many blocks that is. But from there, we've got a function on there, which I don't know if you can hear me with the wind, but there's a function on there called Freebird that just removes taxes. It goes 0-0 tax. So then you can start doing the V3 liquidity pools with that token. For tokenomics, I just want 10% of the tokens going to the initial liquidity pool. Now, some of these won't have like ETH liquidity pools or stablecoin liquidity pools. The other 90% of the tokens will be set aside for doing other liquidity pools, and going cross-chain, or doing all other type of stuff to layer 2s that we're looking at, in stable coins when the time's right at the end of the bull run. So I think that's my concept as of right now. Now, some of these tokens, there'll be a main Ethereum one, which we'll probably call like Blue Ocean or something like that, which would be the name of the project. Deep Blue Ocean, I don't know, whatever you want to go with. There will be a river going to a layer 2. And so or waterfall, river, whatever term you want to use, it's flowing to the blue ocean from the layer 2. Now that one is just going to have a small percentage of the blue ocean and the V3 liquidity pool paired with, say, 50% of this secondary token, this river token. And you would do different rivers for ones that you want. You wouldn't have to do different rivers. We can talk about that later. So maybe we just keep it one river going in, or maybe 10%. To keep our 10% number going would be better. That would be the pairing with the ocean, and maybe just do 2% of the ocean to 10% over here, so 5-to-1 ratio. And then from there, you've got a pipe, one that isn't initially turned on. But this pipe is the crucial liquidity drainer from this cell that you're going to create, this lake over here, this holding company is probably the better way to think about it, the drain. And so with this holding company, the drain, you're going to use that one not to have a liquidity pool either, but it will have pairings, V3 pools, with offshoot tokens. 50% was set aside, and then you probably go 5% for each of them, so that gives you 10 options, 10 different like sub cells to this holding company, you know, sub entities or whatever you want to call it. And so from there, you'll have those will have liquidity pools, and they'll be usually pegged to Ethereum or, you know, whatever layer 2 chain that you're on. And so that will launch out, same 5/5 tax structure thing, and with 10% of the tokens. You could do more. You could do a 50-50, but that would limit your options. So I'd probably just do 50% tied to the holding company, with just 5% of the holding companies. So it's a 10-to-1 ratio initially. And then you launch those things off, and you just stagger those, you know, one day at a time, boom, 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 running up chart an influx of Ethereum. And so the key point here is the pipe, and you don't want to do the pipe 50-50, because then that wouldn't shift any of the liquidity over to the ocean, and wouldn't create the flow, the one-way flow going out. So you'd want to launch the pipe, let's say 1% of the river token. With the holdings company or the drain, you'd want to do, say, 50%. No, I guess you wouldn't have 50%, but yeah, you would. You would have 50% because you set that aside. So you do 50% for this pipe. And once you launch that, the bots will just fly through there. And you're taking on each one of these, you're taking a 1%. There's 0 taxes, but your liquidity pools on V3 are 1% taxes across the board. So from there, you're taking, you're sucking out. These MEV bots will do the work for you. They'll suck out. They'll buy over here on your ocean and send it through the river to the pipe, to the holding company, to the one with the liquidity pool over here, or whatever entity, you know, sub entity, and that would then do a sell. So you've got the Ethereum over here, the bots making money going through, and you're pulling the liquidity from this holding company and all of its cells over to the ocean at whatever ratio it is. Now, it won't go to 0 over here, those liquidity pools, but you'll definitely take the charts as you pull it over. So yeah, that's an interesting concept, because you can just launch these pipes up, and these holding companies, you just start staggering off. Just use AI to generate them out, or however you want to do it. They all have their own coins that they're launching, 10 of them each, underneath the holding company, and then you're connecting the pipe, sucking it out on through. So when you're looking at the chart of any of these little cells, you'd have to try to figure out, going back, of all these little bot transactions coming through, these MEV bots coming through, once that pipe's opened up, it'd be very hard to trace how the liquidity is pulling out of there. You just see a bunch of little cells from MEV bots, but it wouldn't make sense where that's coming from until you kind of dig deeper in there, which would take a little while. So about to get hit by a car, but you get the picture here. So I think that's probably enough for this kind of initial brainstorming. I'm going to write some of this down and get into more depth in my thought process. I'm going to probably call B-Dot and Jake and try to talk with Moose, go a little more in depth on some of this stuff. But yeah, I think this is the thing I've been looking for. Thank you.